Welcome back to Unwritten with Thomas Malpass. In this episode, I speak with Rachel, a personal trainer turned a body love educator. She shares her life story of struggling with body image and self-worth, especially with diet culture and fad diets. She details her transformation into how she finally accepted herself and self-love no matter what body you're currently in. We discuss how she helps people who used to be like she was in regards of mindset and the way we think, and her new book, The Donut Diaries, including the impact of societal pressures on body image, the body positivity movement, and the importance of holistic health and self-compassion. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you are and support the show. See you in the episode. Enjoy. Welcome to the Unwritten Podcast with your host, Thomas Malpass, where we are on a mission to help the world find more purpose, passion, and peace in their everyday lives. Through deep conversations and connection, tune in because we are all on this journey of life together. All right, Rachel.
Hi, Thomas.
Can you tell me who you are and why you ultimately decided to get into what you're doing today?
Okay. Well, I am an amazing person who has given my life to the service of others in the fitness industry as a female personal trainer. Having my own struggles with my weight and my body image my whole life, I thought, what better place for me to help other women, but to become, a fitness professional. So that's what I did. And as my career progressed, I realized that, I was not going to help anyone if I didn't help myself. And so for the past 10 years, I've been on this kind of journey of finding self love and finding how to take care of my body in a healthy way, but be okay with being a different size than everybody else and teaching my clients how to do the same. And so when 2020 happened, I wrote my book, The Donut Diaries, which is basically what I'm telling you. It chronicles my journey of from being 11 years old and remembering that my body was different and I had to do something to change it, all the way up into my 40s where I kind of enough was enough and I decided to stop dieting, and using my book as a tool to inspire other people is really what I hope it will do. And I consider myself more of a body love educator now than I do a fitness professional. And I'm hoping that the more I talk to people like you, the more I'm out in this industry, that I can help people free themselves of diet culture.
What is diet culture?
That is an interesting word that, or definition
Term.
of what
Yeah.
we live in, and that is there's diets around every corner. There's some pill, some powder, some potion. For women to
Oh,
make your
yeah.
body smaller, for men it's to make your muscles bigger. I mean, we take things because of the promise of what it's going to do to our body without ever doing any kind of research. And we're stuck in the middle of that right now with these injectables. And every single person that you talk to, I'm sure like 9 out of 10 people are doing it. What do you know about it? You know it's going to suppress your appetite and make your body smaller, but what else do you know about it? And so I feel like instead of passing judgment, which it's hard not to do, but I do my best. I want people to
Yeah.
feel heard. I want people to feel educated, but I also want people to know how smart your body is and how amazing our bodies are, and that we don't really need to be feeding ourselves these chemicals, that our body knows what to do.
When did your like journey really start? Like you said you were 11 and you looked different. How did you look different?
I developed earlier than other girls my age. You know, I got my period, I got boobs, and I was only 11 in fifth grade.
Yeah.
And it was something that was noticeable. I mean, all the other girls were still like had little boy bodies. And so I knew I was different. And instead of being made to feel comfortable, hey, we're all different. We all develop at different ages. It's no big deal. It was like, oh my God, you're in the fifth grade, and I mean, it wasn't handled right, in my opinion, by my teachers, by my mother, and so I had to feel like I had to close myself in, and that led me to believe that I was different my whole life. And so dieting just became a part of who I was at a very, very young age.
You you felt like you didn't fit in, or
Yeah, I mean that's a minimal part of it. I didn't know how to trust my body. I didn't understand that I wasn't the only one. I mean, I now that I'm
Mhm.
a woman and I talk to other women, it's like, yep, same thing, fifth grade, sixth grade, and it's like at the time it felt so like my world imploded as opposed to you're not the only one. You're not the only one. And I think that, again, I know we're supposed to go through our journeys for a reason, but maybe that would have made me see myself and my body differently if I felt like I wasn't alone.
and then you got into fitness in your 20s.
Yeah. Well, yes. I mean, I was always an active kid. Like I was a
Mhm.
ice skater, a swimmer, so that was never my issue. I loved moving. I loved doing all those sports. But when I realized that I wanted to get this was my profession, I could not see myself doing anything else. Yeah, I was in my early 20s.
Did you still struggle with that even when you started that journey? And have you ever struggled with because this is like in the, I guess, body image world. Have you ever struggled with body dysmorphia?
Oh, all the time. My whole career until I turned 40. Yeah. It was, and I look back on pictures now, think when I used to think I was really fat, and I looked like every other person, every other woman. I mean, I had times where I was more bloated and had more inflammation and had more body fat on me, but I just feel like it was so something that was in my head every single day of my life up until 40 that I saw myself as just this really, really big person, or if
Mm.
somebody ever told me something about my body, I literally internalized it immediately and began to like fervently focus on that body part at the gym for like however long. It's not until I learned about like strength training and building muscle and learning about all the things that go into how your body is affected. I mean, there's the way you eat, there's your stress levels, there's the way you sleep,
Mhm.
there's, your relationships with people. All those things matter, and all those things most of us don't take into account when we're just looking at the size of our bodies. And that's what I'm hoping to do now in this latter part of my career is like, hey guys, you're not alone. You're not some, alien person who can't keep the weight off. You're doing all these things to yourself that are preventing you from keeping the weight off. And yeah, so I'm hoping to just normalize it. And I think we make things as human beings so hard, so hard, and it doesn't have to be this hard.
So how did you, like, I guess, have that um like switch? You said when you were 40.
I did, yeah.
What
So I
like what
turned,
happened for you to have that?
I I was a size 0 at 40 years old, and Technically, you would think that after all these years I had gotten my perfect body, but I was miserable. I didn't feel right. I felt hungry all the time. Nothing felt good about the size of my pants versus how I felt on the inside. And that's when I
Mm,
started doing a bunch of research on health at every size and realizing that Rachel as a person didn't really know herself and was kind of
mm,
always hyper focused on this body thing, this body image, instead of really getting to know myself and know what I like and know whatever, whatever. And I
yeah.
just decided to kind of put my focus on that instead of worrying about what size my pants were.
So you started to work on your mental fitness versus your
Yes, very
necessarily
well said. Yes, I
physical
like
fitness.
that. Hmm.
No, I use that because that was a big part of my life as well. Like I was always, well, not always. Like I grew up a very scrawny, tiny kid in high school, and then I started putting on muscle in like towards the end of high school, and then bodybuilding has like always been a part of my life since then. Um, just for like context, in freshman year, I was like 100 pounds, and now I'm short. I'm a short guy. Freshman year, I was like 5 foot, 100 pounds. Now I'm 29. I'm 5'5", 150 pounds, and that's over like 12 years of just always bodybuilding as a part of my life. But it wasn't until like 4 years ago that I started to learn about like identity, self worth, mental health, and it's also a key component in living a overall healthy life.
I agree with you. I think it feels so simple now. It feels so, oh yeah, that makes all the sense. But at the time, that's the farthest thing you think is going to help you is to get right with yourself. You have no idea that that's the missing link at the time.
So, what did you start to do that helped you?
Well, I had to kind of just put my life on pause, right? I mean, I don't know how deep you want to get, but it's like, always picking the wrong
Very
guy,
deep.
always picking the wrong guy, always picking the surface stuff. And I decided that I wanted to really get to know me and who I was and how I became who I was. Like, I did not have a relationship with my biological father. So I found him and reached out to him and started having conversations. I created some boundaries with my other family and realized that I didn't need to have 1,000 friends. I could have three really amazing friends or four or five amazing friends. And not everyone deserved to hear my story, right? I didn't have to share my story with every person I met. I just needed to understand that there are people in your life that are going to come and go, and some people are going to stay for the long term. And trust is not an overnight thing. You have to, establish that. And I think that I wanted to be loved so bad and I wanted to trust someone and have a healthy relationship, which I never saw growing up, that I put my faith and trust in people that didn't deserve it. And to recognize that and to learn how to trust myself, I think that was a massive shift in the way that I saw myself in my relationships.
So, how did you learn how to start trusting yourself?
Well, at the time of this kind of like awakening, if you will, I was living in Manhattan. And at the time, Manhattan is it kind of forces you to grow up and be an adult. It was a safe place to be a single woman. And so I started taking myself out on dates. I started doing things that sounded interesting to me when I would never do it before because I would have to do it alone. And I started doing things by myself and realized, I really love doing this. I really don't like doing that. I actually need some alone time to replenish. And, I always tell people that I am a introvert with extrovert tendencies, and I did not know that about myself. I was always giving, 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 and spending time with other people, and never allowing myself like any downtime to just replenish, like I said. And when I started doing that, I was like, oh, I'm a nice person. And I'm not such a cranky bitch all the time, because I just felt like I was being pulled at both ends. So to really kind of know yourself in that way is it just makes life so much easier. And I think when I first started that journey, I was like, I want to be happy. I have no idea how to get there. And now I can say, cleaning up all that garbage led me to be able to be a happy person. And I'm very grateful for that.
So, why do you say you were a cranky bitch all the time?
Because all my friends would be like, "Let's go, let's go, let's do this." And I didn't realize how exhausted mentally. I mean, I was in school, I was doing all these things, and I was trying to get my life together, and I didn't realize that I was just never having any rest time, or I was never having any alone time. And I wasn't having fun doing what they wanted me to do, and I didn't feel like my needs were being met, and that I was just doing something and saying yes because I was being pressured. And I didn't have my boundaries. I didn't have a voice at the time to be able to like say no. I don't want to go to some car show. I don't give a shit about cars, but instead I would force myself to do things I didn't really want to do. And the more you get to know yourself, you can have a healthy boundary and say, you know what? I'm not the one. I don't like to listen to live music. I'm not your friend to go do that with. And to be able to say no, I know it's a two-letter word, but people don't understand its strength. And when I learned its strength, I became a much more rested person. I actually became a better person, a better friend, a better partner, just by learning how to say no.
I think because people are afraid to say no a lot of times because of that fear of judgment, or like you're not fun, or why, or you know. And I
Hmm.
think when you start prioritizing yourself and your own needs, you can show up as a as a better person.
Agreed.
I think it just goes back to like the whole like fill your cup up first. And I
Hmm.
think it sounds like throughout your whole life you weren't filling your cup up.
I would agree with that.
So why did you write the book in 2020? Like what happened in 2020 that made you want to write the book?
Well, we were given the opportunity of time, right? I mean, we're all like forced to stay at home. And I don't think without that time I ever would have done it. I just, part of my learning experience was I never really felt like I was a overly smart person. I just felt like there are certain things I could do and certain things I couldn't do. And writing a book was never in my wheelhouse. But again, when you ask the universe, just things align the way that they're supposed to align. And I used that time to do it. It took me all year to write it, edit, rewrites, and put it out into the world. But I knew that I had felt alone in this my whole life. And the more conversations I have with women, especially about their body and how they see themselves, I was never alone. And I just don't want people to feel alone anymore. It's not right, it's not fair. And I think women are almost born into this world hating their bodies, and that just needs to stop. I mean, we're all going to get to that place their own way in a different way, but if I can be a catalyst and help people in any way I can towards that mission, then sign me up.
Wait, you think the majority of women like don't feel like good about their bodies growing up, or what?
Not even just growing up. If you ask, so I'm 52. If you ask a woman my age how she'll find at least one thing to pick apart. If I say, "What do you think about your body?" Even if she says, "I'm getting better," I still don't like this, or I don't like, I mean, guaranteed that is how women think that they're supposed to respond to that question.
Do you think that stems from just society and culture?
It does have a lot to do with it, but it also has to do with how they saw the women in their lives when they were growing up. Were their mothers, their aunties, their grandmothers always talking about dieting, always talking about
Uh,
their bodies. What, I can't eat that because blah blah blah. And it still happens today. You know, I have a friend who has a college age daughter and still says, "I can't eat that, it's fattening," in front of her daughter. So it's like, we don't realize how we're perpetuating these beliefs that are nothing but BS onto our daughters, and then they take that on and it goes to their daughter. I mean, it's just, until we learn how to to talk about ourselves in a positive way and pass that message on, I can't even tell you how much work I have to do.
well, I think it's like a culmination of things. Like it's like what you said growing up, the projecting from our parents, and then also men. Like men, we're I guess visual creatures. So women may feel some sort of pressure, judgment also on that side.
I would agree with that.
How do you help men and women or just women?
I am starting to realize that men need my help too. I mean, for a long time, I just was focused on women, but even by you saying that comment, I realize how men are ingrained with the way they treat women from their mother. I mean, it's all
Mm,
like, it's all, it goes back and forth with that. So I think it's important for men to understand that, and there's nothing, I don't want to come across like I'm some
yeah.
crazy feminist, because I do understand that men are attracted to certain body types and certain women and certain looks, just like women are. I get it. I'm not telling you that you have to change. What I'm telling you is that you're teaching your little girl of what kind of man
Mm,
she's going to choose based on
yeah.
the way you treat her mother. Does that make sense?
No, yeah, it's like a generational thing.
Yeah, so if you're saying to your guy friends and your little girls, even your little boys are hanging around, like, "Oh, look at her, she's this," or "Look at her, she's that," those little ears are listening. And those little things become his thoughts. And then he treats the next woman like that, if that makes sense
No,
to you.
yeah, yeah. No, because for guys, there's a thing called, at least like in the bodybuilding world, it's similar to body dysmorphia, but it's called muscle dysmorphia. It's
I've
like
heard of
where
that.
you always have to, like, you could be super fit, like you look kind of like you were saying, like when you were a zero and you maybe appearances wise, looked the best aesthetically. It's the same thing for guys. I mean, and girls, muscle dysmorphia, but it's more prominent in like the bodybuilding world where you have to have the perfect size bicep and perfect size chest, and it's it's never enough. So, how do you tell people you're enough?
Well, I have this little, in all my workshops that I do and all the women I work with, I have this little task. And I take a package of hot pink Post-its. For guys, it can be blue or green. I don't really care. But what you need to write on there is one thing that you don't believe about yourself, but you wish you did. And once they make that statement, they have to say it out loud to themselves at least once a day, hopefully more than that, for 1 week. And then you come back to me and you tell me, all right, say your statement. And 9 out of 10 times, that statement, which they were feeling like about, it's like, "I am smart." And that creates a new belief system. It creates a new mindset that you are capable of doing and believing and seeing yourself in a new way. You don't have to keep the same story that you had your whole life, and I think it's important to understand, and for your listeners, it's like you have to do this work. I can't tell you you're enough. As much as I do, it doesn't matter unless you believe it. And so my job is to stand next to you on this journey, put my arm around you when you're feeling like you can't do it anymore, and to tell you you can, but you have to do the work. You have to figure out whether you're going to be a happy person or if you're going to stay in your old story and, just take scraps. So that's my job, is to support you, to believe in you, and to keep telling you you can until you believe it for yourself.
What was your hot pink note to
I
yourself?
had three that I said every day. One was I am smart because I didn't believe I was, and that I am funny because I didn't believe I was. And the other one was was that I am beautiful because I never
Okay.
believed I was.
Why don't but why don't you ever I'm trying to figure out where did that all stem from? Like why did you never feel all of those things?
Well, I just never felt beautiful again physically because I had all these hangups about my body. I never felt smart because I didn't realize that I'm one of those people that they call a kinesinetic learner. So I can't just hear information and it sticks. Like some people, they can hear it and they're done.
Mm,
They learn that fact forever. I cannot learn like that. I have to hear it, I have to see it, and if I can touch it, that helps me. So I'm all three. If you want to teach me a new fact, you have to present it to me that way. And I did not know that for the longest time. So nothing, when I was studying for a test or I was trying to learn something new, it never stuck because I would just read it and it
mm.
wouldn't make sense to me. So I never, and then of course, when you don't know that about someone, you get frustrated and you just think that, and I was never diagnosed with a learning disability. I don't think have that, but I just need all three for information to retain itself in my brain.
I'm the
And
same.
yeah, and so until I learned that about myself, I'm like, I guess I must be stupid, And so if you say that to yourself enough, well, what are you going to believe? I'm stupid, right?
Yeah. What's after that?
So I am smart, I am funny, and I am beautiful.
No, what's after my bad. What's after the notes to self?
Oh, right. Okay, so the goal is to see them again. For me, I had to see it every day. I had to say it out loud every day. And then when I started feeling like it was becoming who I was and it was becoming something that I could believe and I could say out loud, like I am smart, and believe it, that's when I knew that the limitations that I had put on myself before, that I could break them and I could do other things. And I think for me, what the most powerful part of that was is that I felt like I had more time and energy to put on other things than to just be thinking about myself all the time. And that to me was
Mm,
the biggest freedom.
yeah, because I just did a podcast about obsession and the the line between being healthily obsessed or pathological,
Hmm.
and the difference between like OCD and obsession. It I guess like this body image dysmorphia thing, I think it becomes an obsession, and it takes away, exactly like you were saying, it takes away our headspace. Like we can't, it's a form of obsession that we can't stop thinking about, and we it takes control of our lives. So you did you did the work. How did you, I guess, gain that confidence in believing? Like I feel like it has to be more than just saying it, because it's like somebody could say they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a millionaire," but you I feel like for me the best way to build confidence is through action. So like
Mm,
whatever you don't believe,
mhm,
start doing the work and you're gonna believe it. Like if you don't think you're smart, then start reading and learning more, and then you're gonna feel smarter. I
mm.
think how do you think you really like get to start to believe it?
Well, that's actually interesting that you made that because you're right. I did start doing some different things that made me feel more confident in. So there's also something special to be said about knowing who you are, right?
Mm.
And I knew that there was no way in hell that I would pick up the book like Moby Dick.
Yeah.
But thank God in our day and age, every classic you could ever imagine is on audiobook, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
I got a subscription to Audible, and Moby Dick was the first one I downloaded. And every time I was walking to a client or on the subway, I would listen to it. And just to be able to hear that story that so many people have talked about my whole life,
Hmm.
it was it was like, oh, okay, I get it, and now I can like have a conversation about it. And the funny thing is that when I was talking to one of my clients about it, I'm like, they literally are saying the word harpooner in every other sentence, and like if I ever hear that word again, I'm going to scream.
What is that?
So it's like the harpoon, right? But
Yeah.
in this particular book, they say because it's the person doing the action, so he's a harpooner, as opposed,
Oh, like if you're a hunter, you're like, or like
yeah,
if you use the bow, you're an archer.
yes,
So the
exactly.
person that that uses the harpoon is a harpooner or harpooner.
Harpooner. Yeah. And so, but see, that's what I'm saying. I started to
Yeah.
figure it out, and I was like, oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
And then I listened to what's that other one about the Greek mythology story? Oh my God. See, I forgot.
300.
No, no.
That's a
There's.
good one.
I forgot. It's about the brothers, the Greek mythology. I mean, it's every movie like that that's based on. But
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'll look it up for you in just a second. But it's the old classic about the two Greek brothers and where the Greek mythology came from. It's their names. Anywho, we're
Like
wasting.
Zeus and
No, never mind. I'm not making this. I'm not making this easy for you. But that was the next classic I listened to, and I just did that. And then I watched some classic movies, and I realized like everyone who has ever seen Gone with the Wind, they had something to say about it. I was like 10 minutes in, I'm like, nope. So I gave myself permission that
yeah.
some things were just not for me, and that's okay. I
Mhm.
think when you give yourself permission to not follow the like everybody else and have your own opinion
Yeah.
on things, I think that also too builds confidence.
Yeah, I mean, I think that comes down to personality, because some people are like naturally like followers, like they just like to follow people and like follow by example. Like for example, one of my daughters is like that. Like I'll ask her like Luna, like what do you want? Like what do you want? Not because I have twins. And
Oh, wow.
Layla will like she kind of knows what she wants. She's like, no, I want this, I want that. And then Luna will be like, I want whatever she wants.
Hmm.
And I'm like, but what if you don't like it? What do you want? And I'm trying to, I guess the point is that like even if you like to follow people's lead, I think allowing yourself that freedom of stepping into yourself and um experiencing new things and making different decisions even though you might be afraid. Um, I think that helps a lot.
Agreed.
Even if you like want to like feel like you always want somebody else's opinion, sometimes it's scary, but sometimes you have to just like you said, allow yourself that freedom to make that decision by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So, can you tell me more about your book?
Of course. Well, we touched on it a little bit, right? So it's my
Yeah.
story based on my experience with not only food, but dieting and then coming out the other side. And it's a
Hmm.
really quick read. It's my story that I'm hoping will inspire other people because I'm incorporating men now and even kids. I'm realizing how important and how early it starts for little kids to start being aware of their bodies. And if I can start inspiring people to have the hard conversations with their kids or to maybe walk past the mirror and instead of going, oh my God, being like, you know what? Your body is okay today. You're
Yeah.
you're beautiful right now in this moment. Whatever you have to tell yourself to get you out of that space of like wanting to attack yourself because most of the time it's in photos or it's your reflection or it's because the dress that fit you 2 months ago doesn't fit you today. It's like you have to stop putting stock in thinking there's something wrong with you. Are you
Mm,
going through a really stressful time right now? Are you not eating as healthfully as you normally do? Are you not going to the gym as consistently or sorry, I shouldn't use the word gym. Are you not moving your body as
yeah.
consistently as you were a month ago? I mean, I think if I can help people understand that all those things come into play, it's not your body did not pack on 100 pounds overnight. And so for you to think that with a little bit of restriction and exercise, you can get that 100 pounds off in a week is not fair and it's not realistic.
So why is BMI bullshit then?
Oh my God, it's such bullshit. Well, BMI was created by a scientist back in the 1800s, and all it is a math equation. And when people who had money were starting to eat and their bodies were getting bigger, he did a math equation that was like, well, if you do this, then you'll do that. And so ever since then, it has been
Mm,
associated with people's health. And so, but the thing about a math problem is it doesn't see your insides. And it doesn't see that back then everyone was pretty much the same height, right? We have all evolved since then, and people are as tall as 8 feet and as short as 2 feet. So maybe that's a little extreme, but we all come in different shapes, sizes, ethnicities, family backgrounds, and that BMI never takes that into equation. It literally is just like your weight times your height, and that's where you are supposed to be as far as your weight. And
mm,
if you were to look at, so you're 5'5" now?
mm-hmm.
Okay, so if we looked at you and your BMI, it doesn't matter where you come from, what your lifestyle is. 5'5" man should only be about 130 pounds. And
Oh, no, we had something. No, that reminds me. We had something. We had a test in the Navy, and they tested your BMI. And if you were over your BMI, you would fail the um because you'd have weigh-ins because you can't be overweight in the military.
right.
um, so no, yeah, I remember that. It was like, I think it was like one. I think my cutoff was like 140. So like I'm 150 now, but like like you could see my abs, but like I'm not trying to boast or anything. But according to BMI, the Navy and BMI, they would call you overweight.
Or be or
Oh yeah,
ob.
yeah.
And you're telling me 10 pounds is I'm an obese person, but my blood work is amazing. My resting heart rate is amazing,
Yeah.
and everything else checks. But
Mm.
because according to this equation, I'm 10 pounds over that number, I'm obese.
Mm.
That's the thing I have the most issue with, that is you're telling a healthy ass person that they are at the risk of all these diseases regardless of their blood work, which in my opinion, and I'm not a doctor, is the only way that you can tell someone is healthy or not healthy.
Mm.
And even if a person is in a bigger body with adipose fat on them, like we all do except for you, Thomas, okay, with your ass.
No, I have some, like, that lower fat comes and
Okay,
goes.
okay. We're not even gonna like no, we're not gonna go there. But even people who have fat on them,
Hmm.
like I am a healthy woman, but if I were to base my weight and my BMI, I am
Hmm.
like on death's door right now because of that
Mm.
number. But my blood work is great. I work out 5 times a week. I cook at home 99% of the time. I don't eat ultra processed foods other than once in a while. And I really try not to because I don't like the way they make me feel. Has
Mm.
nothing to do with stigmatism or social whatever. I
No,
literally,
there is something about it. Like, your body knows. Your body knows when, like, I know I feel different when I eat McDonald's versus, like, you make that same meal, like, homemade with fresh ingredients, the same McDonald's meal, or anything for that matter, like from a fast food, you make it like with fresh whole ingredients at home, you'll feel different.
yeah. I literally had a handful of Doritos like 2 weeks ago, and I haven't eaten Doritos in like 25 years. My
What?
stomach, my stomach literally blew up because it's
Mm,
just like, what is this? I mean, it's just your body will never recognize chemicals. And that's why when
yeah.
someone's like, oh, I'm on a low fat diet or a fat free diet or sugar free
Or
diet,
you're drinking Diet Coke all day.
I'm like, welcome to all these chemicals that you're putting in your body. And you're wondering why, because everything you're eating says diet in front of it, but you're, gaining weight. Like, why are people not getting this? It really hurts my heart that that the food and diet industry is so manipulative and so shady that these people who eat like that, and I was once one of them, so until I saw the light, and that's why they're sick and they don't feel good and their energy is low and their skin is shit. And that's why they can't keep the weight off, because they're eating foods that their body just does not know how to process.
I think sometimes that could be, your body can be the best indicator. Like, whenever your body is, I don't know, whenever you don't feel good and you're trying all these things, like, that's an indicator that you need to change something.
I think it's so interesting because I've been in this business for 100 years, and when
Hey,
I
you're
overhear
100 years old.
Yeah, and I look great. I hear people, the first thing that when they start to lose a few pounds because they've changed their diet, they're like, oh my God, I feel so good. And it's like, yeah, because you're eating a food that came from Mother Earth, not from a factory. And it just boggles my mind that we have all forgotten how to trust our body. We have all forgotten that, like you just said, our bodies give us signals when something does not compute, whether
Hmm.
it's a stomach ache or nausea or farting or like just I mean, your skin is an amazing tell of what you're putting in your body, right? If you've got
Mm,
acne and you've got all these things, eczema and rosacea and all that stuff, I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying that's 100% of truth, but it
hmm.
is a lot. It does add a lot to these conditions that we have.
Yeah, because some people, they just have hormone issues. Like, my sister has was it like Hashimoto's or something with your thyroid? Literally, like the main hormone uh organ, that pretty much tells her body to, like, that she has to hold on to fat.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what your
you could,
thyroid, it regulates your,
yeah. So she
so
has, like, always, she's always been overweight, I guess, because of that disease with her thyroid.
And unfortunately, the doctors put her on medication and put her on a diet, which only inflames it. So if she were to try
Mm.
eating a whole diet 99, hopefully 100% of the time, I guarantee you that she could get off that medication.
I think that just goes down that rabbit hole of big pharma. It's like, oh, take this, and the supplement world too. It's like, oh, take this, but then you have to take another one, and then you have to take another one because of the side effects of the first one, and then it just keep going.
You're right.
So I want
That's
to. Oh, go
uh,
ahead.
I don't let my clients that they're like, "Oh, should I take this?" No. Well, but I heard great. There's no reason if you're eating a whole diet, and
Hmm.
I and I say this from personal experience. I say that again, I'm not a doctor, but the how do I say this without sounding like a dick?
No, you could
Um,
say it and
it's
sound
just
like you want to sound.
the truth of the matter is that we're putting poison in our bodies every day with the diet this, the fat free that, the prescription drugs. And obviously, do we need the drugs sometimes for our bodies to heal, the antibiotics?
Hmm.
Of course we do. But if you're a person that I had a client, she's like, "Oh, I got the sniffles. I need to go do some antibiotics." It's like, you have literally forgotten how to trust your body that it knows how to heal itself.
Your
You
immune
just need to,
system, yeah.
yeah. And we're only weak. You know what? This is a whole nother story. Never mind.
Well, I do want to know your thoughts on the whole, I don't know what it's called. I just know it as like the Lizzo movement.
So
You know what I'm
it,
talking about?
yeah.
Where
So
it's
it's
like
either
you're
body
fat
positive.
and you're proud, but it's still not healthy to be fat. Like you may be mentally like you feel good mentally in your body, but physically it's not healthy to be like that.
I
That's
understand.
my thoughts on it.
Okay, and I get that. I do. But you also have to understand, Thomas, that you have come from your whole life hearing that fat is bad. You
Mm.
have been taught your whole life that someone that looks like Lizzo is fat, unhealthy, and, and not attractive. Am I right?
No, I think the attractive thing, I think everybody has like some I think everybody can be attractive to somebody. Like
Yeah.
there's somebody for everybody, I
Agree.
think, no matter what your thing is. I'm like my take on it is that it's still like it's still not healthy. You're not going to live a longer like life carrying around that.
But you have to think about what you've been taught. Why?
Yeah,
Have you
yeah.
ever seen the Tongan people?
Which one?
Do you know the island of Tonga?
No.
It's very close to Hawaii. It's literally called Tonga. Have you ever seen these people? They are
They're
huge.
giant.
They're giant. They're huge. The women, the men, unless they have long hair, I can't tell the difference because they're all just like big people. But they're healthy
Yeah.
as hell. They're
Mm.
healthy as hell. So that judgment is not fair because men come in different shapes and sizes, height, weight. And just because someone is in a bigger body does
Mhm.
not mean that they are unhealthy. Now, are there unhealthy, larger people? Hell to the yes. But you have to look at the lifestyle, not just the body. Like someone
Mm.
who their only source of food is McDonald's or fast food or whatever. I'm probably pretty sure their insides are not functioning properly,
Mhm.
right? And it's also where do you come from? It's your lifestyle. It's how you were raised to think and see about food and about exercise
Mm.
and movement. And a lot of times, bigger people don't go into gyms because they've been shamed because they have a bigger body. And so it's like the cycle just keeps going. It's like I can't go into a public place and move my body because everyone is going to stare at me.
Mm.
So there's more to this than just this person's in a big body, they're fat, that's unhealthy.
Yeah, but
Say it. Let's have this conversation.
No, I know there's more to it, but do you think my point I'm trying to make is do you think it's I know everyone comes in different shapes and sizes, but I do think there's a threshold for every each body. And I think when you pass that threshold, it like you could be like you could feel good and feel mentally all there and happy and joyful. But I think there's a physical threshold for each individual body. And when you cross that threshold, it is just straight up not good for your body.
So you're talking about our body's set points.
Yeah.
And yes, we all have one, but we all have one that changes throughout our life.
Mm.
And you're just trying to convince yourself. And I mean no
Yeah,
disrespect,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because we have all been taught this. And all I'm asking you to do as a human being is think about what you've been taught to make you think what you're saying makes sense. Okay.
Mm.
I'm not disagreeing with you in any way, shape, or form. There is a healthy way to live and there's an unhealthy way to live. But the size of your body is not an indicator of that lifestyle. Does that make
Oh
sense to you?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so go look at an anorexic person. Technically, they're perfectly healthy because their BMI is low, but they're killing themselves because they're not eating.
Mhm.
A drug addict may be thin because the drugs they're taking is not causing them not to eat, and their BMI might be perfect, but you think that they're healthy? Like
No.
I just want people to start opening their minds of what they think is healthy and not healthy. And just because the body that is bigger,
Like the physical. Yeah.
yeah, it has nothing to do with your physicality. I mean, you think let's use somebody we all know. Okay, let's use The Rock's body. Not
Okay.
everyone knows what he looks like.
Yeah.
You think his BMI is like technically normal? I'd be shocked if his BMI was at a healthy range. But that man is the epitome of health, right?
Yeah.
So that I guess that's what I'm asking people to understand is that I mean, look how much Lizzo moves her body. That girl is dancing, she's singing, she's doing all the things.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about her or her diet or her lifestyle, but I know that she's just not sitting on a couch. I do know that.
Mhm.
So for her to be, and I guarantee you one day she's going to drop that weight because the
I
pressure
think
is going to,
so.
yeah, because
Well,
the
it's
pressure,
like that one actress that was in all those singing movie. What are those singing movies? Like High
oh,
School.
well,
Huh?
High School Musical.
No, no, it's not High School Music. It was a comedy where they like have a competition and they do like a cappella style singing. You don't know what I'm talking about. Somebody listening will know what I'm talking about. But there was
Are you
a
talking about Kelly Clarkson?
no, no, no.
Oh, okay.
She was in this she was like the fat one in this movie.
Oh, in the Pitch Perfect movies.
Pitch
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. So, damn it, I can't remember
You,
her name, but
her, yes, she was fat in all of them and then just like one year, a couple years ago, just like lost it all.
right. But have you heard about her updates, how she gained weight because she stopped starving herself? I mean, people, listen, every
No, I
single
don't know
person,
about that. Yeah.
yes, because every single person, I mean, hi, I got down to a size zero. I was 124 pounds. I remember that number on the scale. I will never forget that. And because my body went through this, healing process, I went up to 180, which is the biggest I've ever been in my life because my body was so out of whack from starving, dieting, restricting, and doing all the things. So now that I'm haven't dieted in 5 years. I am getting back on, and I also moved. I had COVID. I mean, all the things were happening in my life. But now that I'm settled again and my workouts are consistent and I'm cooking at home again, like the weight is coming off. And even on those hard days where I'm like, I know I could do this for a few months and get back, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it because I'm getting older. I'm 52. I want to be 62 and 72 and 82 and still doing things for myself. I don't want to be
Mm,
sick in a hospital bed. And I just want people to understand that that quick fad diet they're doing to drop 10 pounds before they get to the beach, you're asking for a lifetime of consequences. And for someone like me, and for most women out there who have dieted near half their lives, how many nutrients did I miss out on? How many things did I not give my body that it needed because I was pushing it too hard or I wasn't? I mean, we could just list all the bad things I did to myself. Hopefully, I'm okay. But all I can do is start from, today, let's just say, and know that I'm nourishing my body the best I can. That's all I can do. And that's all people really need to realize is that you can only do your best and think about your future. Think about what you want to be doing in your future. Do you want to be sick in a hospital bed, laid up, not have any muscle on your body because it was more important to be a size zero? Or do you want to be out there with, other old people going to Colombia on hikes and stuff? I mean, you really got to think about that.
senior citizen singles cruises.
Yeah, baby. Right? Those ships are big and you can get you can get lost on one of those laps is at least 5,000 steps. So do you need a wheelchair to get around the cruise ship or do you want to be able to walk yourself?
I think I understand your point now. It's about creating the lifestyle that you could sustain, in which you feel good about, and your whatever your definition of healthy is, um, for a long time. Does that sound about right?
I mean, that's part of it. That is
um,
definitely part of it.
do you want to talk about anything else before I move on?
No, sir, you can move on.
I feel like we could talk forever about this topic forever.
You can. You really can.
Honestly,
You can.
uh, only because like fitness has been a big part of my life as well, and it does go back to like what you're saying about that judgment on myself, and like I don't ever. That's why I do have compassion, I guess, for the people that feel, I guess, shame about being like bigger,
Hmm.
because I do that to myself. Like I always tell myself like I don't ever want to be like, I don't ever want to have like jelly rolls and flubbers flapping around. So I understand on that like aspect that we have to have like more compassion for those types of people, because I have it myself, and let go and start letting go of that judgment. But you ready to play this game?
Yeah, let's do this.
It's completely random.
Oh, God. This will show you how fast I think on my feet, right?
I mean, it doesn't have to be fast. It could be, you could think about it. Um, the story question, yeah, I'll pick it completely random. The first story question is something unbelievable. And then the context. In my weirdest dream, share something unbelievable. In my weirdest dream, I am.
Oh, I can fly.
That's your weirdest dream. Everybody has had
No,
that.
well,
I've
listen,
had that before.
but it was for me, it was a reoccurring dream.
Oh,
And
like you were always flying?
yeah,
Like astral projection or
No. Like, I just remember I was on a boat and I saw this dolphin. And the next thing I knew, I was hovering over the dolphin while he was swimming and I was just flying over him. But I had that dream a lot.
That's probably because you read Moby Dick a lot.
This was before Moby Dick.
You thought you were the whale, Moby Dick, flying over.
No, thank you. I didn't want to get harpooned, that's for sure.
Harpooned by the harpooner.
See, you're never going to forget that. You are never going to forget that word.
All right, Rachel. These are my last final questions. My first question is, what is your biggest regret?
Well, I have, okay, one. I wish I never picked up a cigarette.
Oh, you used to smoke, or do you still smoke?
I do not smoke anymore, but I used to. And I wish that was the one thing I never did.
How soon did you start?
Huh?
How soon, like, did you start smoking?
Oh, shit. I was 16 and I
Oh,
quit.
wow.
I know, I quit smoking. I mean, I quit multiple times, but I quit for good in 2007. So it's been a
It's
while.
been a while, yeah.
Yeah,
That's good. I'm trying to give up alcohol completely.
just do it. Listen,
Yeah.
I was never really a big drinker, but the one thing that does piss me off about alcohol is how much it is at like a restaurant. So like a drink is, I'm like, do you know that's like half a pair of shoes or like,
No, I went to like a club like a month ago, and it was this like top notch like Vegas style club out here in Austin. $26 a drink.
nope, that's definitely a pair of shoes.
You gotta have like a lot of expendable money to be buying drinks there. Um, but yeah, it was one drink, $26.
Was it even good?
Well, I got Long Island, so they put like 4 shots in there. But like if you got like a mojito or something, it probably wasn't that strong. But yeah, that's something I'm trying to like really give up. Cause like I notice like when I drink, even if it's like on a Friday or Saturday, which is like majority of the time when I drink, I don't like feel like fully like it just doesn't feel good the next day.
Right.
Especially like if I drink on a Saturday or even Sunday, like one drink of wine or something, and I have like a podcast on Monday,
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like fully like focused and the best. So, anyways, next question. Who or what has made the biggest impact in your life that makes you who you are?
Mm. Myself. The fact that I loved myself enough to figure out who I was and get rid of all the negativity. That's pretty cool.
I think it's cool too. No, that's really good. I love when people tell me that. More often than not, it's like their parents or somebody like a mentor they had. I've only had one other guest say themselves, so I like to hear that because at the end of the day, it kind of is yourself. It's like no matter who the greatest mentor or person that has impacted your life, you ultimately made the decisions that like led you to where you are today.
For sure.
So I like that. Next question is, what is one lesson that you had to learn the hard way?
uh, to stop looking for love in all the wrong places. I mean,
Really?
oh yeah, always looking outside myself for the validation and the love that I really wanted that only I could give myself.
Do you love yourself now?
I do, which allows me to be loved and to love somebody else. I was not capable of being a good partner when I did not love myself. It was really hard to be in relationships until then.
Can you tell me like a little story of that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I was always looking, if I was attracted to somebody, I would just immediately assume that, oh, so if the attraction was mutual, it's like, oh, we're going to be together forever. Instead of like, who
Mm,
is this fool? What is, what do we share some of the same ideals? With,
uh,
without getting to know this person, it's just like, latch on, you're my person. Don't ever leave me. You have to be there for me no matter what. And it's just like, but I don't know you. You don't know me. It just doesn't work that way. And until I realized it's because I had no idea who I was expecting somebody else to figure it out for me, and
mhm.
that will never work. That will never work.
Yeah, that's a recipe for
Lots of
disaster.
oh yeah, lots of disasters.
I
So
always tell people, like, for me at least, the perfect partner would be somebody that, like, you don't even have to like be like a 10 out of 10 attractive. Like, I do have to be attracted to you, but the most important thing to me is like your values and beliefs. And if we share that, like if we have like similar values and our belief system is pretty much the same, I think that is like a recipe for a long lasting relationship.
agreed.
But my next question is, what would you want to experience in life if you had all the time and all the money?
I would just love to see every country. That would be amazing for me. I think just seeing how other people live and other people's lifestyles and then realizing how much we all are alike. Everybody has their routine. It's just in different countries it's may look a little different. So in the
Mm-hmm.
few countries I've been fortunate enough to visit, I always walk away from that experience feeling so much more um what's the word I'm looking for? I just feel
Enlightened.
huh?
Enlightened, maybe.
Sure, that's a good word, but
Open minded.
yeah, I just feel like more connected to humanity, I guess, because it's like you
Yeah.
come from a whole nother country, you speak a whole nother language, but you still have your job, you have your family, you have your kids, you drive a car. Like I'm fascinated by how connected we all are, no matter what part of the world it is.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's in human nature to just survive, right? So we're all surviving, but just in our own unique ways.
I do want to go to Sweden because I heard that's like the happiest
What's over
country
there?
ever.
Oh, like what
Yeah,
do they have in the water over here?
right? I was like, why are y'all so happy?
For real. I wonder what it is. I mean, I heard of these like blue zone things. Have you heard of that?
Mm-mm.
Blue zones have like it's like a holistic study company that studies cultures that have the happiest and most long-lived people.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of what it falls down to, like the blue zones kind of falls down to the Japanese um belief system of, have you heard of ikigai?
I think so.
It's like these blue zones all around the world kind of have that belief system where you, let me see if I can just look it up real quick so I can get this right. So yeah, ikigai is a Japanese concept for a reason for being. It's about what you love what the world needs, what you can be paid for. This is kind of like, I guess, when it goes down to your work,
Okay.
a lot of these people in the blue zones have this, um, I guess, ikigai, and they also have communities where they all support each other. They have a lot of the walking score, like they walk a lot.
Hmm.
They eat whole foods, and all these blue zones, they just share that. So I don't
Yeah,
know. I thought that was interesting.
we need to take a page out of those blue zones. I'm gonna look that up. That sounds amazing.
Blue zones.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's. I think maybe Sweden is on there.
Of course they are.
But that's it, Rachel. Do you have any last thing you'd like to share with the audience?
Well, I feel like even though there is a part of the health coaching and the personal training, yes, I'm all those things, but I'm also a woman who has lived this experience for her whole life. And, it is my destiny and my joy to help people free themselves from all these like diet culture lies. And even if you just want to reach out to me and have a conversation, please don't hesitate. I will never push somebody away. And we don't have to agree on things. And you may leave the conversation not changing your beliefs at all. But women need to be there for each other. And I want to be a walking example of that. So reach out whenever.
Go check out her book,
Yeah, that too.
The Donut Diaries, where you can eat donuts and read it at the same time.
Yeah, why not?
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It was so much fun.
And as always, everybody, stay curious. Keep going. You got this. Peace.